Hi, this is Shell of Shell's Creations, and today I want to talk with you about how to add emphasis marks to your journaling. I have a few examples to show you. This layout is by Ronnie, and in here she details some of the stresses that she has going on right now, and you can see how she's used brackets, underlines, circles here and there. For the important parts of her story, I especially like this one down here where she's repeatedly underlined seriously grumpy. Here's an example by Carol, where she's gone ahead and put the bracket to emphasize that this is where her journaling is. She's underlined a little bit. She has a few arrows, the lines around, and even some highlighting in her journaling. This one by Cassie goes through and emphasizes a few things: friends, preschool, learned, great job, you, and kindergarten. Right away, when you look at this layout, you see those words without reading all of the journaling, and you get an idea of what the story's about. You can even use those emphasis marks if there's not much in your journaling and you just want to focus on the little bit, the when, where, why of what's going on, as this layout by Shannon. Within Photoshop and Photoshop Elements, you can draw your own emphasis marks, or you can make it easy on yourself and use some that have already been drawn. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use the Mark My Words marks on the journaling on your layouts. But let's take a look at the packaging here because it gives us a few ideas for things that we can do. In these journaling marks, there are circles, there's squares, there's brackets, arrows, little wavy lines, a wide variety of what you need. There's even a few places where there's just some repeated lines drawn that you can add your journaling to. There's different styles of highlighting. This one, as you can see, this one here's pencil, and this one's markers and highlighters. There's 140 different ways that you can use these marks. So now let's go in and see how this works on a layout. This is a layout about my son and the fun time that he had at the amusement park, in particular this one ride that seemed to be his most favorite. I already have the journaling ready to go, and so I want to talk about what you can do to just emphasize the journaling as if your layout's already ready to go. One tip I would make is that certain types of marks will work better if you have more of a gap between your lines, and certain types will work better if you don't. And so pay attention to that as you are doing it. You might want to adjust the leading in your journaling. Leading is the term for the distance between the lines. Okay, well, on a new layer on this, I'm going to add some marks. I'm going to use a turquoise because that's one of the colors that's in my thing. And then you can install the Mark My Words as brushes and find them easily and use them that way, or you can bring them in as a ping and just add them that way. They are installed as brushes on my system, so I'm going to go ahead and use them that way. In the journaling here, I talk about what might have made Mark very happy about this, and in the end, it was what I want to focus on is the fact that he grinned and giggled and that he had 5 turns in a row. And so just pick one of the shapes. Remember that you can use your bracket keys to make the brushes larger or smaller. And then just go right ahead and stamp it on there. Now you'll notice that when I stamped it on there, it's covering up the G's and giggled. You want to pay attention to the blending mode. Sometimes you're going to want just a normal blending mode. Other times you're going to want to change it. In particular, because my background paper is white, I can go ahead and change it to multiply, and then the little black lines will show through that way. And so he grinned and giggled is now emphasized. And then 5 turns. Somehow I want to emphasize 5 turns. Now when you look at your brushes here, there's no easy way to know what size they are except to pay attention to these little numbers down here. Remember, 300 pixels is an inch, and so if we want something that's going to be about 3/4 of an inch or so, I'm going to look for one that's short. If it's got a number like 1142, that's obviously going to be something that's very long and covering most of the space. I want something that's short here, so I'm going to choose this one that's 533, and let's see, that's still going to be really long for my 5 turns. And so I might decide, let's try this underline right here. Again, that's still pretty long. Let's try 272. There we go, 5 turns. Let's make it 1. Hit my bracket keys to make it just a smidgen shorter. Okay, there we go. Now I've got grinned and giggled and 5 turns. And so now, when you look at the journaling on this layout, the things that catch your eye right at the beginning are grinned and giggled and 5 turns without reading all the journaling, and so you kind of get an idea of what things are about. It's a great way to emphasize your journaling. Let's look at this layout. This layout in particular is about a hike that my kids took with their grandpa and uncle, and I wrote the journaling in the beginning as if it was with the title on it as if it was from a newspaper. And so this one, because of the color of the background paper, I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful. And so I'm going to choose a yellow like a highlighter on this one. And I'm going to choose some of the lines that look like highlighting. Like, let's look at this one right here. Yeah, I think that one might be a good idea. So what are the main words in this journaling that I want to highlight? I think maybe family hike would be a good one. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that one. Oh, obviously we're going to have to move where we do it. Let's see. I don't want them all to look the same. So let's pick another one. How about this one right here? And let's do favorite part. Because what was their favorite part? And I think the other thing that I might emphasize on this one was the location. Let's mark that one there. Okay. Obviously, I wanted yellow like a highlighter, but that's not going to look like a highlighter if it's covering the words. So one option you have is just to drag your layer where your marks are down below the words so that they now look like they were highlighted, except that we all know that a highlighter doesn't always give us that bright of a look. So we could change the blending mode. We could try a multiply, but I'm guessing on that dark brown paper that is the effect that a highlighter would have on the dark brown paper, but it doesn't emphasize it as much as I would like. So let's duplicate that layer, but on the second one, let's change the blending mode back to normal, and then let's just lower the opacity because I want that yellow to glow a little bit more. There we go. Now it's as if it's highlighted, plus a little. So remember to change your blending modes as you're working on things so that you get the look that you're going for. Emphasis marks are a fun thing that you can add to your journaling to just give it a little oomph and a little personality as you do it. If you have any questions, you can reach me at shells.creations1@gmail.com. Thanks. We'll see you next time.